In the 70s, to a slalom skateboarder, Henry Hester was the man. Ultimately, Henry was a hero. The part Henry doesn't like was that when I was a kid, and I tease him about it now, and he doesn't get that I'm teasing him. I've done it too many times, and he's tired of it. But when I was a kid, and Henry Hester, my slalom skateboarding hero, used his influence in the industry to support the Henry Hester Bowl Series, at the time, as a kid, I felt hurt, abandoned by my champion. It was irrational. I was a little kid. You know, I didn't think he should have done that. I thought he should have used his influence, should have known he had influence, and used it to further perpetuate slalom. So, bullet point. We jumped to Holiday Havoc in Anaheim, California, which is the Vision NSA National Championships in December 86, end of December 86. Everybody there, Jeff Phillips won, saw Salba again, the first time I'd seen Salba in ages. Saw Henry, got to meet Henry, talk to Henry. And I said to Henry, I'm Andy Bittner. Remember me. I'm going to revive slalom skateboarding. And Henry said, Andy, it would just be better if you understood that part of skateboarding's dead. So having had that said to me by Henry in the mid-'80s, I wasn't the alienated, hurt kid anymore, but that was a challenge.
Yeah.
And so we move into the internet era, and the internet era is, of course, key to everything that happens.
All the forums.
From the internet. People can communicate with each other. You don't have, you got to remember, before that, not only did you have to communicate on the phone, but all the phones were attached to a wall by a wire. You know? So there was no hooking up with people conveniently and communicating with groups of people at one time. So the internet is super key. I started to come into a financial time in the late 90s where I was a little more flush as opposed to a little more skinny. My whole life is either a little more skinny or a little more flush. But I was in a little more flush moment, and so I began taking my boards out again and riding them. I found NCDSA.com, Northern California Downhill Skateboard Association.com. Adam N., the guy who puts that out there, I don't know if he wants his last name out there. He didn't back then. And that was a straight up forum, kind of a bulletin board forum. And there was one for slalom. So all the dark years slalom skaters find each other again. And, you know, Chappett's there. So it's like, hey, fuck, Chris, I haven't fucking seen you since early summer of 1978, you know, before you went to AA. It was crazy party time. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that about Chris. I appreciate his sobriety. I'm not making fun of it. He felt he needed to do it. But back, it was party time when we were kids. So anyway, you know, all those people were there. Henry Hester was there.
Wow.
You know, and I'm seeing it, I'm going, so here we go. The challenge from Henry, still, Andy, it would just be better if you accept that part of skateboarding is dead.
Fire underneath you.
Oh, it was a fire under me from the day he said it, but connected with internet capabilities. I'd have to go back now to the internet records, like NCDSA.com. We could put years on all of it. I think it might be 99. This was a much, the earlier revival for me was, I was the only one revived. You know, I went out and raced in California, you know, because I was industry oriented, I knew it was going on, and I got revived a little bit, got a new Turner. But the first big revival, the one that's currently led to slalom skateboarding being what it is today, was NCDSA.com. So 99, I think, and you can go to the forums and look at the dates. They're right there. Okay. And so I started because hey, We can communicate with everybody in the world right now. Who in the area wants to? And that's when I met Mitch. Mitch, Temoche, whatever the pronunciation is on that, Mitch Temoche. Mitch was the first guy I met, and I met him the first time over in the parking lot at Rio. Kevin Gamble in Pittsburgh, KMG, was one of the super early ones from the kind of the mid-Atlantic region. Dave Gale in West Virginia was certainly one of them. Whether Ohm and Parsons were on the radar quite yet or not, I'm not sure I remember. But I started a series of sessions, give something a title. It's more than, it's packaging. It's more than something without a title. So I started the summer night slalom sessions at the kind of every ESPN had, or MTV had, Hot Summer Nights, which was like the surfing program and everything on it. So it was the Hot Summer Nights slalom sessions, skating at night because it was summer, at the Gaithersburg Park and Ride, and that started to bring some people out from the region. That might have even been after the first gathering. The first gathering was a pure NCDSA driven thing. I think Mitch was the only, other than me, the only true local. But Simon Levine came from England, and Chappitt came from California, and KMG came from Pittsburgh, and Gale came from West Virginia. I was a fan of the movie Highlander, so the notion of the gathering, the bringing together of the people, because in the dark ages when there was no internet, each one of us was out there in our own little world of slalom darkness, and there were other immortals in the world. And so the gathering was about bringing them together, and that was Gathering 1. So in the spring of 2000, my high school reunion picnic, the day after the night thing, was in this picnic area. And the first time I walked into this picnic area and saw the arrangement of the hills on a closed road loop, I knew I was looking at a slalom venue. I knew it the instant I saw it. I kind of I had to get out of here of my reunion. It was like, oh my God, you can't believe what I just found. I just found like the perfect slalom venue, 2 hills, closed road. And that's how I found it. So I had that first gathering here, which again attracted people more from afar than locally. And again, all of this will be on ncdsa.com. I mean, you can get hard date evidence of all these events on NCD, which still exists. I went and checked just recently. Then I had the summer, because that gathering, this place is cheapest right as the early spring. So I had that here. Then that summer, I had the summer night slalom sessions, which attracted Eric Walgren and Brian Parsons and Ohm and some other younger people. Kurt Kimball, Badland slalom racer from the 70s. Kurt Kimball was living in Northern Virginia with his son, Bad Company, with his son Willis, the famous Willis Kimball Pro. Skated slalom here before he ever did any of those tricks you saw. Hell yeah, I got pictures of Willis as a little kid skating slalom here. And then I had the big race, which was the summer night sessions, slalom sessions finale, which attracted again, and that was late summer of, I think, 2000. And that attracted Jack, came to that. Chappitt came back. Gilmore and Kirby came, and Brammer and DeBartolo, Carveman Kurt, CMC, snowboarder, all that crew came down for Summer Night Slalom finale. We ran a dual course race. My courses were called the Twin Dragons. I think the second one was bigger. I think it was I think the third one I ran was the crazy one. The one where it really started to kind of get big, and that means a number of things. That means people in general are less happy, and there's much more stress for an organizer. And so I had come out in advance and designed my main course for this hill. Chalked it out, had it. Maybe Thursday of that week. And my pissed offness began when I came here Friday afternoon, before it was even supposed to be open or before there was an event, and somebody had come and set a course on my course, set cones on my course, and there were a whole group of people pre-practicing a race course, which is something that should never be able to happen. In alpine skiing, you don't ski a course before you race it. You get to look at it. Not downhill. Downhill is a safety matter. You definitely have to run it first, or Super G. But slalom, you don't get to run slalom courses before the race, ever. You get to look at them, and you're good enough to translate what you'll know you have to do to get through that course. So here's a whole bunch of the people that are going to be racing that weekend pre-practicing the main course. They were running the exact course that I was planning on holding the competition on and pre-practicing it. Now, it didn't occur to them that that would offend me, to be fair to them. But I was pissed. On Friday, before the event started, and then we got to Saturday, and Nature Boy was here. Kenny Malika, who is a great skateboarder, a great slalom skateboarder, a great party friend, and a wild guy. He's famous for, that's why they call him Nature Boy, for occasionally appearing naked places. He's got like the wing, the para-wing and the big fan on your back. He's got one of those where you can fly around with the big fan on your back on the parasail, which he does naked. He's got videos. We were laughing. We were up at the first farm race up in New England watching the most hilarious videos of Kenny Malika at a California beach in a stripper's thong, the real narrow V thing, going in and out of the water, doing handstands, going into the water naked. I mean, he's funny. He's funny as adult humor. Yeah. This was a family event. And he got angry at me about something like what I was doing next, what event we were going to do next. And he started going off on me and cussing like, just fuck all of you, you know, what are you motherfucker gonna, just full on rage. And I was like, look, man, you know, look, I get you're not happy, but this is a family thing and I need you to put on the chill brake right now. And it, fuck that, he kept going insane. So I said, eventually, I was like, you're out of here. Fuck you, you gotta throw me out, blah, 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 blah. So I walked off the back corner of the site, right over to the ranger station, and got two men with badges to come and remove Kenny Malika from our event and ban him from coming back in legally. If he comes back, he's going to be arrested. You know, the stress level got high. And that was the year Alan Gelfand came. Oh, wow. Ollie was here that year. The one beyond my year, 04, was the last. And part of why it didn't work is because this is a special site. This is ideal for slalom skateboarding. The other one wasn't. But But, you know, I flew out to California for the World Championships, for the second World Championships in Morro Bay, not to race in the race, but to set the course for the main event. And after that, I was trying to create the United States Slalom Skateboarding Federation, and I had to hand select the founding board. I mean, the true first board would be once there's membership voting for who the board is, but I had to hand select the first board. So it was Jack Smith as president. I can't remember. Stephen King was in there. But the bottom line was, Jack didn't help. I like Jack. Jack's a friend of mine. But I could not get Jack on the line enough to be a president of the organization, to rallying other people to any particular point of view and trying to make things happen. And ultimately, Jack was working closely with Don O'Shea on the FCR series. So it felt to me kind of even like Jack might have sandbagged me a little bit in favor of FCR. I can't imply that. Jack, if you see this video, I will tell you what I wondered at the time was whether you had taken the role of president of USSF and then sandbagged there to the advantage of FCR. But FCR had its brief pro series in California, one at Catalina, one in the Presidio in San Francisco. And I again flew out on my dime to set that course for the Presidio race, which was funny because, of course, one of the great characters of skateboarding and one who is so typically a poster figure for that greasy leather California subworld vibe is Steve Olson. And he was at that race. And so, like, after the first day, it was the night or whatever, or after the practice day or whatever, I've got a hotel room in a little divey hotel out by the Presidio. And I go out and I walk out onto the street, and there's Bulky on the other side of the street. And so we start hanging out, me and Bulky. Me and Bulky. And Bulky's explaining to me that if I let him manage me, that he'd make me a superstar course setter, and there wasn't going to be any more of this flying places on your own dime to set courses. I can make you a star slalom skateboard course setter. Just a funny night because there's no such thing as a star slalom skateboard. Nobody's getting paid like star money to come set the course. But it's just so typically Olson, so typically the California promo vibe of everything was just the whole thing that night. And then, of course, the next morning, the first day of the race, we had to dry the venue because it's, you know, foggy San Francisco and pavement's always wet. And we're practicing for that race. And that's when they come on the loudspeaker and say, "Attention, all skaters, everybody here. We regret to let you know that Bobby Turner has just died." So I was standing on a course, setting a course, when I learned that the greatest board shaper in slalom history had died while we were holding a race out there. Not that he was at that, but so, and for me, I have been living on the skinny side of things ever since. So it's been hard for me to ever get back in it. At some level, I regret that it has become so much of an equipment sport, because at some level that makes it unfriendly to people with less money. If your equipment can actually help you beat somebody on, I mean, this is state of the art for when it was created. And ultimately, I also think that tech doesn't necessarily make you the best slalom skater. I don't think tech can necessarily win a race for you, but I think it's a closer run thing nowadays. You know, for me, it's elemental. It's elemental. It's a hill it's a winding path. It's really nothing more than that. And that, especially, I mean, and you've seen the pictures of the Gaithersburg Gazette article. If you look at the second picture, not the color photo, the cover photo, but the second picture, where I'm out, rigged out with my glasses on, look very closely. You can see, or maybe it's in the color picture, you can see my stopwatch in my pocket pressed, because you always got to have a stopwatch with you. You can race against yourself, and you're the best person to beat. You know, is yourself, because you're beating what you did last time, which means you're improving. You know, so it is something that way. You got a board and a stopwatch. You'd be, you know, if you're a racer, you know right where that starting line is. And you know right when your front wheels click over it, and you know right when to click that watch. You can top your stop, and you know right where that finish line is. So you can time yourself constantly. And there's your competition, you. You know, then if you race against other people, okay, who acquired more skill racing alone? You know, so that's what it is to me. I'd like to see it do well. I'll say this here, the same thing I said in that Gazette article. If on my deathbed I am known as one of the people that created the long-lasting permanent revival of slalom skateboarding, that will be me on my deathbed feeling like I accomplished something that was important to me.